excuse other than the fact that I was sitting here from 15 minutes before this was supposed to start, and I suddenly thought to myself, you know what came in yesterday? New razor blades. So you should go and you should like change the razor blade on your razor, which is something I was not like planning to do right now. I'm not going to use a razor during this live stream. I don't know why I thought that, and then I meandered over into the kitchen and I was like, you should eat this Parmesan oat cracker, which I ate half and then looked at the time. So, you know, that's why I'm late, I guess. I'm sorry about that, and even Greg doesn't want the cracker. That's a little bit sad. Anyway, yes, Happy New Year. I kind of said this was going to be like a special New Year's live stream, and I forgot to mention like the only thing that's really that special about it is the fact that it's a Monday, and normally I film these on a Sunday. There's nothing really that special. I was gonna maybe like wear a party hat, but the only party hat I have in the house says happy birthday on it, and that like kind of is the sentiment, I guess, like happy birthday 2024, but it felt no. So anyway, yes, here we are. It's a new year in Australia already. We're 11 and a half hours into it and I'm already like tired. Someone mentioned my new glasses before. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I don't like them. I bought them online during my COVID illness. I bought them. I don't know whether I just had like a lot of cold and flu. I'm not really sure what I thought when I purchased them. I thought you're definitely whimsical and cool enough to pull off these glasses, and no. Maybe they'll grow on me. We'll see. We will see. Yes. Anyway, yeah, Happy New Year. What an exciting time for us. I'm just going to adjust that a little bit. You can see all my shoes in the background. Okay, yes. What an exciting time. Any big New Year plans for anyone? I mean, probably not if you're sat here watching this, I guess. The only reason I was still awake at like 11 o'clock is because I fell asleep on the couch at about 9:30, and then I woke up at 11 o'clock and was like, oh, I need to like, you know, get to bed. We can't sleep on the couch. I'm not a big New Year's fan. It was never like really that big in my family. Growing up, both my parents were teetotal, so like New Year's Eve, I assume globally, but in Australia is like really just a drinking holiday. My parents were teetotal, so like it doesn't really, not for like any weird reason, they just didn't really drink. It wasn't, yeah. So we're not really a New Year's family, and I have to admit it's not something I really care about. I don't make resolutions really. I don't, because I know I'm not going to stick to them. Like I know myself, you know. And when you're just kind of like, look, we need to stop setting ourselves up for disappointment, babe. There's enough of that in the world. So, but I did get up this morning. I like forced myself to go for a run on the proviso that like, if you don't do it now, you're never going to do it. And then you're going to run this half marathon and embarrass yourself by dying halfway through. Yeah. I hope I don't. This was, I had COVID earlier this month, obviously. And it was, I think like, yeah, I don't know. It was the worst time of my life, but I'm still like working back from that. So the most I can do at the moment is about 3 kilometers, which is very disappointing. It's very disappointing to me, but you know, it is what it is. It's totally fine. Anyway, let's get some actual questions up here rather than me just monologuing. Let me look them up. Again, did I prepare for this in any way? No, and the app's just crashed. Perfect. Okay, no, it's fine. This is going really well, I feel. Okay, here's one. Happy New Year. Yes, Happy New Year to you as well. Have you noticed how different everyone's faces are in that promo photo of everyone looking at Francesca the day of her court presentation? Sorry, I just got a new ask that came momentarily distracted by it. Violet, Gregory and Hyacinth look horrified. Anthony looks a bit awed and a bit confused. Eloise looks like Eloise, and Benedict and Kate look happy. Also, boo to Anthony being in the same room as Kate and not being all over her. That doesn't seem right. I mean, fair. Like, it's not his general vibe. Maybe they're on a timeout from one another. Let me look at the picture. I don't... Okay. I see. Are we sure they're looking at Francesca? I mean, that feels right because, you know, I believe this is her debuting. Eloise just looks very unimpressed. Okay. Gregory looks concerned, bless his little face. Can we also talk about the fact that Gregory just looks like a mini Anthony now, and it's like my favourite thing. He just... The way I love that child. Like, just the person Gregory is going to grow into. I don't really know what's happening in that scene. I haven't thought that much about it. I assumed possibly that this photo is actually not like pre-debut. I actually think the person they may be looking at is Colin, because it seems like from what we saw when they were filming this, and this is all speculation, obviously, but I think that possibly, I think that possibly Colin arrives like just in time for this. That's not the one I want to use. Just in time for this. And I think like maybe this is after Francesca's debut and he's like debriefing them on something. That would be my assumption, because I can't really think what Francesca would have them all, like particularly Violet. Francesca, let's be honest, after Daphne is really Violet's favourite, I think. She's probably one of the only one that Violet gives actual useful advice to. Don't at me. Violet Bridgerton is not the world's best mother. Well, she is to some of the children, she isn't to others. So, I think like... And I really think that bonding happens because of like the whole dead husband thing. But I can't really think... I can't really think what Francesca would have to do that would have them so up in arms right now. I think it's more so probably Colin, what he's done. I don't know. He has been gallivanting around the world on Anthony's money for a little while, so probably anything. I think, but that's what I think is going on in that, like, in that situation. I don't think it's Francesca. I think they're probably looking at Colin. I think it's after they like get back from, but we'll see. Again, speculation. I could be very, very wrong. I'm wrong about a lot of things. I didn't, yeah. I find it an odd mix of photographs that we got for like our first look at the season. It's an odd, yeah, I don't know. I think that's a very odd, like, collection of things that we got, and I'm a little bit curious as to why. Yeah, interesting. It was a very interesting, like, by the way, my prediction was way off for when they were going to debut this season, but that's fine, you know, it is what it is. Though I feel like I can take a little bit of partial credit. They were like, Molly's thrown down the gauntlet, you know, we better actually release a premiere date. And I'm annoyed about the, like, splitting it into 2 parts thing, but it is what it is. We can't have everything. I can't, like, talk anymore about, no one was expecting it to be so far off. No, I know. Everyone definitely looks to me for sage advice. The idea of me being in charge of anything should be frightening to a lot of people. I made this shirt, by the way. Look how excellent it is. This is how my 2024 is going so far. I'm making merchandise for a fake Formula 1 team that I made up. It's like a whole new level of self-involvement, I feel, but you know, it is what it is. It's kind of cute. It's got Anthony's little number on it. I do have plans. I have a shout out to Sarah, by the way. She made this. She made the design. I do have plans to make more Bridget and Family Racing merchandise. I just need to get some stuff for my printer because it's going to have a corgi on it. And my Cricut, like, yeah, it doesn't do that. So, I am working on more. This is not going to be released anywhere. It's not going to be released, it's just for me. But if anyone wants the Cricut, like, file, maybe I could put that somewhere if anyone desperately wants a Bridget and Formula One shirt. Anyway, yeah, what a bizarre, like, and they announced, like, the release date with no season 3 footage. Like, part of me is like, is this a conspiracy? Did they not film anything in those, like, 14 months they were filming? It felt like they were filming for a very long time this year. I don't know what that story is. There was obviously lots of speculation about, like, storylines being scrapped, and I don't know. It seems like it was a very chaotic time this time around. I don't know what happened. And I will never know. I'm not part of that production. See my work shoes lovingly piled on the back there when I move, thrown in there in a fit of joy because I wasn't going to have to wear them again for a week and, you know, back to work tomorrow, but it's fine. So yeah, I don't know. It was just a very bizarre, like, and the way they released it felt odd to me with, like, no fanfare or, like, I don't know. I can't, like, shake the feeling that Netflix is kind of setting this up for a bit of a fail, but I think they released the release date with something prepared for release during this strike, hence no actors were involved. That would make sense. That would make sense, I guess. But, like, I don't know. The strike's been over for, like, at least a month now. You had time to, like, I don't know. It feels bizarre to me. Like, I don't know how long it takes to, like, edit together an announcement like that. It's not, like, really my place to be like, what are you guys doing? But it just, I don't know, it felt very odd to me. Anyway, yes, I am not too salty about the fact that Anthony is not next to Kate in that photo, because I feel like I feel like that one picture of Kate and Anthony together was already, like, more than I was expecting from them this season. My hopes are not high. My hopes are in the gutter, because you can only be surprised from there, you know, like, whereas I don't want to let myself believe they're going to have this enormous, like, storyline when it's, in truth, probably going to be quite disappointing. Though I will say a lot of stuff has been coming out. God bless Jonathan Bailey. He is just 100% always working for Kate and Anthony, and I respect the hustle. But which, by the way, like, did you guys watch Fellow Travelers? Like, that, I'm never going to recover from that. I have read the book. I knew what was going to happen, and yet I allowed myself to be like, no, it won't be emotionally devastating to you, babe. I was like, the last 10 minutes of the show, I was just, like, tears streaming down my face, ugly sobbing in front of my television. It was not a good time for me. I felt very, like, Jonathan Bailey should have been nominated for a Golden Globe, but hey, it's none of my business. Like, Matt Bomer was great. He's always great. But I also feel like he kind of just, he's always, like, the same kind of guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's always just the same person, where I'm kind of like, is this acting? I don't know. I can't tell. Are you really good at being this kind of person, so this is the only role you get? Or is this actually who you are? I can't tell. I don't know. But he also, Matt Bomer, always reminds me of Bryce Larkins from the show Chuck, if you guys have seen that. Excellent television, excellent, like, mid-2000s television. It's, that's what Ryan Reynolds became. I feel like shows use Matt Bomer as the LGBTQ plus version of Ryan Reynolds. It fits. He's kind of, like, he's a charming guy. you know, like I don't know. I also just deeply feel like I don't know why I'm going on this diatribe about fellow travelers. It's really good if you haven't watched it, and I'll try not to spoil too many things. And I get that, like, Hawke was very much a product of his time, but I do just feel like Tim deserved better. Like, everything Hawke did was like, he couldn't even see how much he was even hurting his wife. Like, it's not all about you, babe, you know? Anyway, that's not important. But like, what was I saying? Jonathan Bailey is like always hustling about Kate and Anthony, and I appreciate that because he's basically the only person that is. Like, him and Simone Ashley are out there being like, okay, they're doing all of their own PR for this show, and I feel like they're just, you know, doing the absolute most. But he has basically said all of their storylines are like very nice this season, which I'm happy they're not really introducing any conflict. No one really wants that. I don't feel. I especially feel like it would really undermine this kind of like happily ever after vibe that they're trying to go for in the show. Like, if we then see the characters and they're like, none of them are happy, and like, oh, is he gonna have like, what is the point of him, like, what is the point of them going through all of these things, all of these hardships, if they're then just gonna like maybe have an affair? Like, who cares? No, I don't want to see that. Contrary to what like television producers want, I feel like after a couple gets together, people really only want to see that couple happy. Like, it's okay for that to happen. I want to see them live their life, actually. Like, don't like diminish how good the storytelling can be when you are in a committed relationship. Like, that's not, you don't have to have drama within the relationship to have an interesting plot. Like, come on, be a little bit interesting with the writing. So I'm glad they're trying to take that route. I guess we'll see what their storyline actually turns out to be, but you know. I've got a new addition, by the way. I've got to pop Kate and Anthony up here. I can't decide if I want to take them out of the box or not. They're not worth any money, let's be honest. When Funkos came out, we were all like, these are going to be worth so much money one day. It's kind of like Beanie Babies. They're not worth anything, you know. I had a rare Beanie Baby when I was like 7 years old, and I was like, this is going to pay for my lifestyle. I do not know where that Beanie Baby is now, but I am positive it's not worth any money. Like, I should just take them out of the box so you can actually see them. But they have very cute little faces. They really like captured Anthony's annoyed duck sort of thing. It's very sweet. Love that for him. Yeah, anyway, I guess that's the end of that question. I've now gone on about 4 different TV shows, but that's fine. Okay, are you going to get a 13.1 tattoo? I don't know what that is. I don't. Oh, okay. In the next question, I think, is a half marathon 13.1 like miles? Okay, yes. So, okay. It's 21 and a bit kilometers. That's what I'm going off. We're a kilometers country. Cool to know though, I guess. When is it? So it is in, I will answer that question about the tattoo in a second. It's in July, mid-July, which is great because that's winter here. And it starts at like 5 a.m. So that's really good for me. Otherwise I think I would probably die. I basically had to buy a treadmill because like it is, for reference, it's not midday yet and it's 35 degrees where I live. It reaches about 31 degrees by about 7 a.m. So if you're wanting to run for like a few hours, you really have to get up at like 4:30. And I know myself and I just feel like that's not going to happen. So it's in July. I'm very excited. It's also like along the Esplanade, along the beach in the city near where I live. So like there should be a bit of breeze. It's very flat. I'm excited about it. Do you know what you're wearing? No, because I already have too much active wear. Like, I just bought a new pair of running sunglasses that I don't really need. I've now become this person that, like, is super specific about things that I want. I don't know. I do know that you get a shirt for like running this half marathon. But I don't want to wear that shirt because I haven't completed it yet. So I feel like it would be almost bad luck to do it. I did convince another one of my friends, like one of my best friends, I convinced her just this weekend that she should run it with me. Because she was looking for like a new fitness goal. She used to work at my workplace. She doesn't anymore because she went to university and she's graduated, and I'm very proud of her. And she just like moved away. It's not like she, yeah. So, I convinced her, she was looking for a fitness goal, and I convinced her to run this half marathon with me. So very exciting. And we are actually planning to get matching tattoos afterwards, because I feel like it, she already has heaps of tattoos, so it's not like a big deal. But I feel like this deserves, like if I'm gonna run 21 kilometers, I feel like I deserve a tattoo after that. I don't know what it's going to be yet though. We have not finalized the design. We decided like literally yesterday morning to get tattoos, so I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe some like little shoes would be cute. We'll see. Because we know I love a sneaker. So yeah. What's your favorite thing that you will have on? And this sounds ridiculous, but I now like I'm obsessed with my running headphones. I use them. They're like bone conduction ones, so your ears are open, because I kept nearly getting hit on the road. It's not really something to laugh about, it's quite serious. But I bought running headphones, they're great. I love those. I also am very specific now about like the hat that I'm wearing and like what that feels like. I don't know why, I just, yes, have become someone that's very specific about like their athletic wear, and I don't really love that for me. I don't really love what that says about me, but like, you know, it is what it is. Here we are, we're in it now. We've committed to it. I signed up for it and like paid the money, so I have to do it now. And I signed up for it and paid the money because I knew otherwise I'd be like, oh no, it's sold out, I can't do it, you know? Either that, or I would convince myself like, well, you were gonna do half, let's just do a full marathon. Though like already the delusion in my head, you know that like audio that's like what gave you the confidence delusion? Like the delusion in my head is already like, and next year you can do the full marathon, babe. Like no, like, honey, we're not gonna do it. Like, we're not gonna be running a full marathon. That's never gonna happen. We're gonna run this half, and then we'll probably put our running shoes away and never do it again. It's a lie, I'll probably keep checking, but like, yeah. What am I doing? Just fell into like a pattern there. Do you feel totally recovered from COVID? Yes, but like not fitness wise. I don't know. It really knocked me around. Hey, that's the first time I've had COVID. How I got like 4 years into a pandemic and hadn't had it, I do not know. I guess it says I don't have a social life, but I don't really think about that. I got it from a patient at work essentially, because we've now like basically stopped our COVID screening questions. Previously we used to, like, they had to fill out a questionnaire, and like we were very limited on who we could see, but we've stopped all that now. And now like it's happened quite a few times where like a patient comes in and then the next day they're like, oh no, I have COVID, and we're like, and this symptom just like popped up overnight, did it? Like, and it's impossible to social distance from my, yeah, it's impossible to social distance, and we do wear a lot of PPE, but like, you know, when you, it just happens. But weirdly, I'm like the only person that got it at work, and usually like a couple of people would get it. I don't know why me particularly this time got hit with it, but like I was off work for 2 weeks. We also did have a natural disaster during that time. We had a cyclone and a lot of flooding. I'm fine, but yeah, we did have a natural disaster in that time too, so that accounted for a couple of the days off work, but like, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, I feel a lot better, but I, like, fitness-wise, I am not back to where I was yet. I guess I'm just trying to take it pretty easily. But kind of sucks. Like, I put in all of this effort and then, like, just went. Like, overnight it felt like. But it's getting better. It's not like, yeah. I've seen some people had issues, like, you know, up to 4 months after having COVID with running. So, like, it's not that bad for me. It's just, I've been a bit lazy these last couple of weeks, I think, also. But yes, I'm feeling much better. Thank you for asking. How did Diana, Lady Supreme, get her name? So, she's my cat, if any of you don't know. Diana is Wonder Woman's real name. So she's named after Wonder Woman, but also Diana is the Roman goddess of the hunt, which, like, feels appropriate for a cat. So that's Diana. And then, like, Lady Supreme just really fits her vibe. She is truly in charge of this house. Once she figures out how to, like, put her cat food on a regular order so it just arrives at the house, and once, like, she figures out how to open the bag, I think really she'll smother me to death in my sleep. I'm not sure she's particularly attached to me, but, like, it is what it is. That's having a cat, you know. I feel like me and my cat are, like, we're roommates. We're not, like, like, Greg is my pet, sweet baby Greg. He's, like, asleep at my feet. I'll get him at the end to, like, say Happy New Year. He's my pet. The cat's just, we're roommates. It's a roommate sort of situation. I'm in charge of the cooking, but, like, it's a roommate situation. So she really got her name from that, I guess. I don't know, it's just a cute little nickname. And now, like, I really only call her Lady Supreme. I don't call her anything else. I love her to death, but, like, yeah. And she really, like, so I had my dad staying with me for a week just now after Christmas. I was at my sister's house for Christmas, and then he was there, and I brought him back to mine. Because my sister has a new baby, and, you know, he's back there now, but weird. Anyway, so I had my dad staying, and, like, she doesn't like other people. I don't know, like, she doesn't mind me. She'll, like, curl up next to me, and, like, when she's ready. But, like, other people, she's like, absolutely, can you just leave? Can you get out of the house? Like, who invited you here? It wasn't me. Like, I need you to go. Which is kind of a vibe, you know? It's kind of, she definitely has an aura of, like, making people feel unwelcome in our home. Like, I don't necessarily mind sometimes. I just hate having people at my house. I'm not I'm not really, like, an entertainer. I want to do, like, what I want to do, and it's why I don't have a roommate, other than the cat, obviously. Like, yeah. I could never. I had, like, some very bad experiences of roommates when I was in university, and, like, never again. Let me tell you. Oh, what a disaster. I'll tell you guys really quickly. Basically, so when I was at uni, I lived on campus for a year, and we had, like, a situation where you were basically, like, living in a small apartment. There were 3 bedrooms attached to, like, a tiny living room, a little kitchenette, and, like, a bathroom. And first semester, like, me and one of the girls from my course was staying with, like, they were randomly assigned when you first got there, obviously. And one of the girls from my course and me was staying, we had, like, a exchange student roommate. She was from the US. And then in the second semester, we had, like, met another friend, and we were like, okay, cool, you can, like, move into our little pod, you know. Felt very exciting when I was, like, 18, 17, for most of it, actually. So she moved in, and within 2 weeks, those two had a falling out and, like, could not be in the same room together. It was very uncomfortable. Very hostile atmosphere. When my mum came to pick me up at the end of the year, I, like, made her leave at, like, 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, she was staying, like, in the city overnight, and I was like, no, I want to go. It was, like, 6 a.m. and, like, I just left in the middle of the night without saying goodbye to anyone. They weren't, like, hostile to me, but the, like, vibe between them was very uncomfortable. I spent most of that second semester sat in my, like, little bedroom with headphones on, pretending I couldn't hear anything. And like after that point, I was just kind of like, we're not having any more roommates. It was just really uncomfortable. And I don't know, I like being alone. That sounded very sad, but like there's advantages to like not, yeah, there's advantages to that. It's way better. Anyway, let's move on. Let me just get I spoke for too long about my university roommates. Okay. Do you think TPTB R/Will purposefully hiding Kate's stomach ahead of her premiere? What is TPTB? Am I stupid? The production? Do I think they're purposefully hiding her stomach? I don't think so. I think it's a coincidence at this point. Because I think if there's going to be a pregnancy storyline, it will be like announced in the first episode. The powers that be, I think. Okay, yes, thank you. Obviously I am stupid. So I think, do I think they're purposely hiding it? No, because I don't think there's anything to like hide at this point. I think if we're going to see a pregnancy, it's going to be like throughout the season. It'll probably be like announced in the first episode. If I was writing the show, that's how I think it would be. I don't think they're hiding anything at this point. I also think sometimes like Regency dresses, because of the corset and everything, can kind of give people a really odd silhouette anyway. I'm not like commenting on anyone's physique. It just like, I feel like gives you an odd silhouette because of the way the corset sits sometimes. So I feel like a lot of people online are kind of reading into something that like I personally don't want to get my hopes up and believe there's anything to read into yet. Yeah, I don't think that's the situation. I guess we'll see. Where do you stand on the probability of a time jump in season 3? How would you utilize that? How would I utilize it? See, this is... I don't think there's going to be a time jump. If there was to be a time jump, I think it should be. But like before the season starts. So there would be like 2 or 3 years between season 2 and season 3. I don't, like chronologically. Though physically we have also had 2 years at this point. So, you know, they're doing the time jump for us. Love that, as you can tell. I don't think there's going to be a time jump. I think the fact that they're breaking it into 2 parts, it's really a coincidence. I don't think there's anything to like really read into there. I think this plot needs a time jump, but it is not going to be well utilized in the season, personally, in my opinion. It would be best utilized before, because like we saw in season 2, which I was surprised by his age actually, and I keep meaning to look up like, why don't I, do I have a copy here with the timeline? Let's see. Is there one in this one? I'm looking for like the thing. Yes. Okay, so Colin was born in 1791. How old would that make him? 1814. Give me a second. Mental maths was like not my strong suit. 23. So they've actually like aged Colin down by 2 years in the TV series, because he's only 21 in season 2. Like Benedict says that very specifically when Anthony's like, why are you spending this money? And Benedict's like, he's an adult, which, you know, I feel like at 21 you are technically an adult, but like, are you really? So they've like aged Colin down by 2 years, which is an odd choice, I think. Because I feel like I don't know, I've said before I'm worried that they're making a little bit of a mistake doing this season too early, because I think they think like it needs to be told now, and I actually disagree. I think it would be better to do it after, but again, my opinion doesn't really matter. But that's why I think a timeline would be better served pre-season, because I feel like both of them need a chance to like mature a little bit. And can we really say Penelope's a wallflower, and like part of her character in the book came from being a bit of a spinster, and I'm not saying I like want to see that, do not get me wrong, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like it's a real character shift. Can we say that she's a spinster if she's like 19 getting married? Like that seems bizarre, which is one of the reasons why I think that maybe they will put in a time jump somehow, but I don't see how that would work mid-season. I guess we don't really know like what plot that's going to follow yet, but I don't see a place for it, honestly. Though I guess it's easy to engineer one. I guess maybe if I was going to do it given the plot that we have, though they haven't really left it open for one, because I feel like maybe a good plot would have been if Colin went, like if he goes away again, but like they've already said that Penelope's like out, she's looking for a suitor this season, and she's like doing Colin out. They can't keep Julie Andrews. Look, and look, Dame Julie, let me tell you, the deep abiding affection I have for that woman, a woman whom I have never met, costs $1.5 million per voiceover, like per episode. Wowee. What a payday though. I mean, like, good for her. If she is getting paid for what's about 2 minutes of dialogue, $1.4 million, like, holy, I need to get myself on that. Like, Jesus. I've heard rumors like that too, that, yeah, I don't know, it feels lazy to me. Why did you pick someone that you couldn't afford to, like, keep up until the story was, like, ready to be told properly? But I guess if I was writing this with, like, the events that we have now, let me think about this. I rarely think about it, so let me think about it. So I would have, and it would be like a boring first half of the season, but you know, I think, so what I would have happen is Colin comes back and he's maybe like, I would think, possibly even courting someone else. And Penelope's kind of like, okay, screw it. But whatever happens that season doesn't really work out, so I would actually probably put 2 seasons in here. Doesn't really work out. Colin goes back traveling for a few years, and then when he comes back, like, they're both in a more mature place to, like, even maybe he finds out that she's Lady Whistledown midway through the season, and he's like, I don't know, like, what to do about this. And he disappears for maybe a year or 2. Maybe that would be interesting. There could be a bit of interest in that. But I think it would honestly work better. The way they seem to have set up the story, and obviously we don't know very much about it at this point, but the way they seem to have set up the plot, I think it would play more interestingly a little bit older, but we're doing a gold and silver vibe. I guess it's New Year. We should probably put in like a little bit of effort, like, you know, kicking off the year the way we mean to go on, which is to say minimal effort. Why are people excited about the picture with the bandage? Is there a photo with a bandage? Is it the one with like just him? I don't really know. I actually haven't seen that much about it. Yeah, kind of stay away from that actually. Him and Penelope at a ball with a bandage. Oh, okay, interesting. Oh yeah, yes. Okay. forgot where my mind was. I was so distracted of that photo with Anthony trying to distract his wife from obviously doing something very important. She's like sat behind a desk and Anthony's like, a cuddle maybe? Like, I'm obsessed with you. But like, I don't know. I don't even know what I think is going on there. I think people like that from memory, and I do need to reread Romancing Mr. Bridgerton because I've read it once. I do need to reread that. I don't think there's anything in there where he gets like injured or anything. I think they're just maybe excited about how that like plays into it. Maybe I think people think he has perhaps like defended her honor a little bit, which like you know, it wouldn't kill him to do that after he basically like called her out in front of everyone and was like, that spinster. Like, no, sir. Like, it is the minimum he could do to defend her honor a little bit. Like, that man, I tell ya, and this is one of the reasons why I'm like, maybe we need to mature a little bit, babe. Like, maybe we need to, like, not be a dick. He cuts himself in glass and she bandages them. Is there? Did I completely forget about that? God, I really need to reread that one. I've only read it once. I can't remember. Yeah, I don't remember that. I remember him being really awful about the whole, because he is not like very gracious when he finds out he's Lady Whistledown, and that's why maybe I'd put a time jump in there. Yeah, he gets, and that's what I remember, what Emily said, like she like happens across something he's written and she reads it and he's like kind of awful to her about it. Like she gives him some advice and she's like, you should publish this is like a really interesting thing, and he's so like kind of nasty about it. Honestly, that's what I remember most about their book, is like him being kind of like, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of the way he like treats her in the book, so I'm very interested to see like what they do there and like what his character turns into and like how much they take, because I was not like, he's like funny in every book but his own book. Like he's kind of like this really lovable guy. He like sits in a tree with Gregory all night to like make sure Lucy's uncle doesn't do anything. He's a real sweetheart. And then like when it came to his book, I was just kind of like, I was a bit disappointed, because I feel like he was, a bit of a jerk, honestly. And like, I get it. He's worried that like her being Lady Whistledown is like, people are going to be out for, you know. Yeah, very good point. I don't know. I feel like it's too soon. I feel like they needed a season between him like where they are now and like where they're gonna be obviously at the end of this season. I feel like we needed something between that. We needed like an intermediary where he's like starting to realize he has feelings for her but she's moved on. I think that would be really interesting. Like, but again, I don't write for the show. Anyway, I should probably get another actual question up rather than like writing my fanfiction of a show that hasn't happened yet. Do Funko, Kate and Anthony have a home yet? Yes, they do. They're here. I was going to maybe put them on my desk at work, and maybe I'll get another one to like put on my desk at work, but I like them up here for now. I think they're very cute. I love their dumb little faces. In season 2, do you think there's any significance to Kate and Anthony's first dance being the first and only time so far Kate wears pink? A colour Edwina is always wearing. Interesting. She does only wear pink there. But I think everyone is, no? Like, all the women are? Because I assumed it was part of, like, the theme of the night. I thought it was, like, you know, hearts and flowers, like, everyone wears pink. I thought it was the dress code, because I think everyone is wearing pink, no? Though I guess it's interesting, because, like, so a lot of the time Kate wears quite dark colours, and usually lighter colours were for debutantes. So I guess maybe there is something to be said in the fact that she's wearing a lighter colour, and like that's really the first time that she feels like a deb as well. Because realistically, you know, she doesn't think she is. She doesn't really see that she has any role there, but like she's a deb too, and I think that's maybe the first time she feels it, like when she dances with Anthony, and like, you know. So I think there is a bit of significance in there, but I also just think it's the dress code, because I think everyone's wearing pink. Like Penelope's wearing pink, and like, let's be honest, Portia would not be out there putting her in a flattering colour if she had a choice, you know? Like, I think, yeah, I thought it was the dress code. I don't know though, obviously, because that is not clearly explained. Do we see an invite for that? Maybe it says on that. Is there like a, maybe not. I think we only see the invite for the Harmony Ball. Yeah, yes. I thought it was the dress code, so I don't think so. But I think like in a much broader sense that maybe there is some symbolism behind that. It's a, you know, pink is probably a more, historically deb colour, so I guess there's something in that. But no, I don't think there's actually any significance there. I think it's probably just the dress code, unfortunately. Right, do we have any more, or is that the end? I think that might be the last one, a colour Edwina. But also, like, can we talk for a second about the fact that, like, Edwina is always wearing pink? Is there a time other than the wedding that, like, she's not? No. Like, why is that? I guess it's like a very feminine colour, and like, but did you, like, it's just very, I find it very interesting, especially when Violet's then like, what are your favourite colours? Like, it's pink, babe. Have you ever seen her wear anything else? Like, Violet, we know the answer. All of us know the answer. Are you not paying attention? Like, Jesus. I think it's pink. Like, anyway, doesn't really matter. And I guess maybe that was to like, maybe there was something in that as well. The fact that like she's always wearing either pink or white is very like one note. There's a little comment in that. Maybe the way like Anthony feels like there's nothing really there. It's very like baseline. It's very traditional. It's very baseline for her. So maybe like there's a bit of a comment in that, more so than I had thought. Either that or she just really likes pink. I really couldn't say. Maybe I'll tweet that later. I don't have a Twitter, but slide into Charitra Chandran's DMs. No, that sounded creepy. I'm not going to do that. I have often wanted to slide into Shelley Collins' DMs and be like, please, can you bless my headcanon of how Mama Mary met? Because I feel like you're the only person that's allowed to do that. No one else cares, so it doesn't really matter to anyone but me. Anyway, yeah, maybe there's a comment on that for Edwina that like maybe that's the way Anthony sees her, is just like very You DM'd Shelley on Insta, did you get a response? Maybe like very just one note, that's how you didn't. Oh, I'm sorry, I won't do it then. Let you live your life. I think I've ever messaged anyone on Instagram other than like people that I know, obviously. There's one person like that I'm friends with that we only talk on Instagram. I don't know what that's about. Isn't it interesting? Like, I feel like there's like 2 people that I actually, it was for your birthday. Oh, blessings and riches. It's the thought that counts. Gee, that was ages ago. Still no response. Sad. That's alright. I'll still, watch Terra Nova a ridiculous number of times a year. So I forgot what I was gonna say there. Yeah. Isn't it weird? I feel like we don't, like, people don't text anymore. Interesting. There's a social comment in there somewhere, I'm sure. I thought I had one more set of questions, so I will scroll back and see if I can find them. Wow, there's a lot of stuff I haven't replied to in here. My apologies. Yes, there's one more. Okay. I recently watched season 1, and can you imagine Card Shark Kate being invited to Lady Danbury's married ladies gambling night? Does Kate get banned from playing cards when Edwina finally secures an invite? Will everyone refuse to play with her just because they assume she'll be like Kate? Meanwhile, Anthony is annoying absolutely everyone in his family as he stares down the clock waiting for Kate to come home. Alternatively, him and Simon get into some ridiculous shenanigans in an effort to convince their wives they absolutely cannot be. So this is one of the reasons, like, good for RJP. He's out there doing his own thing, but I wish, like, we got a little bit more of Anthony and Simon just, like, being dumb boys together. I feel like there was a lot of space for that in season 2 for Simon just to be like, because I feel like it was really set up in season 1, and it's really interesting because it's set up that way in the books as well, that, like, Simon and Anthony are best friends, they do everything, best friends, they do everything together, or they did before, like, Simon left the country, and then, like, that just disappears. Like, there's a little, and I guess maybe it's weird that he's, like, married to your sister now. I get it, like, maybe that's weird for them, but I don't know. And of course it's hard because we only see, like, the only space we would have to see Simon, and I guess he is in that book. I think that's the only other book he's in. Yeah. Other than the second epilogue of, that is in The Duke and I. That's the second epilogue of The Duke and I. So the only other book that Simon is actually in is The Viscount Who Loved Me. And so I guess that makes sense. We don't see him any other time. But, like, I don't know, I feel like there was space for that. Anyway, I would love to see Kate at one of Lady Danbury's, like, little soirees. Mostly because I feel like they really pushed to the fact where they pushed her mother's storyline aside. They really pushed the fact that, like, which is the chance we're not going to get again, you know? They really pushed this, like, idea that Lady Danbury was really taking Kate under her wing to kind of be, like, the next version of her, which I find very interesting. More so even than, like, and I guess Violet has an excuse in that she thought Anthony was going to marry Edwina because, you know, apparently she doesn't have eyes, up until, like, the very last moment. So I guess, like, there wasn't time for them to build that relationship, but I think it still would have been interesting to see, like, that relationship develop a bit behind the scenes, you know, like, I guess I just wish there was more time. What if we just wrote 5-hour-long episodes? Maybe that's the answer to this. I need to put my glasses on so I actually, like, see the screen. Now I have a very, like, blurry view of myself. Anyway, I hate them. Anyway, yeah, they really pushed that sort of thing. So I hope that there's more interaction between them. Otherwise, I feel like if they just drop it, like, that feels weird. And I know it's, like, not going to be the central focus because Lady Danbury kind of actually does play a huge role in romancing Mr. Bridgerton from, like, memory. Yeah, she does. So I don't know why. Yeah, I guess it would feel weird to, like, now not see them interact after they, like, really set up that relationship to the point, like, to the detriment of Kate's other relationships being allowed to develop in a way on screen. It would just be really interesting to me. Better be nice at a Kate. You know what? I think this was one of my issues with the Queen Charlotte show. I feel like Lady Danbury was really harsh on Kate for someone that, like, had the relationship she had with her own husband. You know, like, she was really, like, I guess it goes two ways when you're, like, in that sort of situation where, like, it was obviously an arranged marriage between, God, what was his name? Herman Danbury? God. But between, like, her husband, it was obviously arranged between the now Lord Danbury and herself. So my question that, I guess, like, it goes two ways. Either you're like, well, this is the way the world works, which, like, fine, but that wasn't really her journey within Queen Charlotte. Like, she was then trying to, like, take accountability, not accountability, that's not the right word. She was trying to take control of her life, I guess. So, like, why would you be pushing two other girls towards that? Like, why would you be, like, pushing two other girls towards a life that, like, and, like, sure, Anthony is not Lord Danbury by any stretch, like, don't get me wrong, but, like, why are you pushing two other young girls towards this life that you hated and you resented, rightfully so? Like, I guess she could maybe see that, like, she got a lot from it, but this is just one of the reasons why I really, like, didn't gel with that storyline, because I feel like it didn't match up with the characterization that we saw. I thought that, like, the actress that played young Agatha was great, and I thought she, like, got her mannerisms down really well, but I don't feel like the storyline actually gelled that well with, like, what we've seen already in the main show. Yeah, it was really interesting to then see that. And yeah, I just kind of, like, found myself thinking, like, well, why were you so adamant that basically, like, Edwina should just suck it up and marry anyone? Like, I don't know. Yeah. She calls Kate and still, like, for Kate, like, I don't know. She's just kind of like, why are you, stop complaining. Like, you know, and I just, like, I get it, because, like, maybe you could say that she was really trying to, like, she was really trying to remind Kate, I suppose, that, like, there's a bigger reason for this, and you're not going to get what you ultimately want if you do this, and, you know, there's bigger ramifications to what you're doing. But at the same time, like, I almost just want to not see her anywhere near Kate and Anthony this season, because I feel like if you weren't behind it, you don't get to be behind it now. Like, you know, you don't, now that it's successful, you don't get to be like, oh, I knew all along. Like, no. Anyway. But I guess, yes. I don't know, Card Shark Kate has become a real headcanon of mine. I feel like she's probably very good at it, because I feel like she's very, not good at lying, but good at, like, concealing things. So I feel like she'd be very good at cards. But I also feel like Kate probably doesn't like going to those soirees, for the same reason that I feel like Daphne wouldn't. In that, like, they don't really have anything to, like, that, the whole idea of that is like, oh, married women get to have fun without their dumb husbands, you know, which I completely get. I've got a friend from work, and we say all the time that, like, and my argument is that, like, well, you don't have to, you know, we say all the time, basically, like, if we lived in Regency times, like, I would probably be okay with the fact that you were just, like, shipped off to marry, and she would 100% be, like, rebelling against it. And the reason I give is kind of like, well, like, yeah, you don't have to see them all the time. Like, it's different, say, now, where, like, if you know, it's a different situation. But I also feel like if I was raised with that, maybe I'd be, like, okay with it, you know. Anyway. I feel like, yeah, Kate, like, doesn't really have a reason. She doesn't, like, dislike her life with Anthony, so I feel like there's not really a reason for her to enjoy it. Not that I think she doesn't enjoy time away from him, and, you know, like, I don't think they're joined at the hip, but I think, like, well, they are, but, like, I don't think that, like, she doesn't have any, like, everyone complains about their husband, she's kind of like, I don't really have anything to add, you know. Anyway, there's a second question here, and then I have no more questions, so if you have any questions you wanted to ask, or any comments that I missed, like, just put them in the chat. This has been a particularly boring episode, I'm so sorry. Not because of the questions, but because of me. I'm so sorry. The Sharma family dynamics are definitely superior. Hard agree. One of the reasons why I'm absolutely fucking bitter about the fact that we didn't really see anything of that this season. I say this season, it's not really this season anymore. In season 2 years ago, when that was released. Like, I'm just, anyway. I just feel like we're not going to get the opportunity to see that again. And anyway. So if Lady Mary were to be present and prominent in the rest of the series, I liked that alliteration, it felt very nice. Which of the Bridgerton outlaws would she adopt and make honorary Sharma Sheffields if marrying the Bridgerton family makes them your in-laws? Oh, I see. Then you might group together the other spouses and call yourselves the outlaws. So, like, the married people. The people that married into the family, not your own. Yeah, okay. Let's think about who Mary is as a person, really. And a lot of this I'm going to be filling in from the book. But, like, she says, and this is coming out, I am going to film chapter 3 of my Viscount Who Loved Me thing. I was going to do it yesterday, and then there was a whole thing. I ended up having to drive my dad back down to the city rather than my sister coming to pick him up. So I didn't have time. There's a line in chapter 3 of the Viscount Who Loved Me that I really like, and it's from Mary, and she basically, like, Kate says, I didn't even, like, really want to come here. I would have been perfectly happy to find someone to marry back home. It wouldn't have bothered me. Like, I'm not going to marry someone that important anyway. I could have just found, like, a gentleman farmer sort of thing. We would have been happy. And, like, Mary says, basically, like, when you agree to parent a child that's not your own, the burden of responsibility is so much bigger because you took that on yourself. You know, you decided to take this child into your heart, and, like, it's really important that you build that relationship from there. And it's one of my favorite things because I feel like that's really at the heart of her, like, who she is. She saw, like, a child that didn't have a mother, and yes, there is a whole thing, particularly in the series, about her, like, having formed this relationship with Kate's father that I think was a little different in the book, though Kate mentions a lot of times that, like, there was genuine love in that marriage. I do have a theory about how, like, book Mary and book Mr. Sheffield met, and, like, it's a little bit spicy, so hit me up if you want that later. Or, like, I'll write it down. But, like, she still, at the end of the day, like, chose to view Kate as her child, which was, like, very much not necessarily the vibe in that time. Like, it was a thing that, you know, if your child's parent, either male or female, died, you were supposed to remarry to replace that. But it was rare, I think, to find someone that, like, would have taken them in that way, you know, like, they, especially when, like, Mary has a biological child as well, like, she has Edwina, but, like, we don't, even in the series, I think, don't really see her treat Kate any differently than Edwina. And I think that's really at the heart of her character, who she is. It's why I love their little relationship so much. And, like, yes, a lot of people say that Mary does show favoritism for Edwina in the show. I don't think that's true. I think that it gets brought up a lot that basically, like, you know, Mary was so willing to, like, let Kate go back to India, and she wasn't, you know, even though she didn't like living in London, didn't want to be back in England. And I think that for Mary, though, like, she wants to give Kate the independence that she thinks she's seeking, because I think at a certain point Mary also feels like a bit of a burden to Kate. I think it's, and I don't think it got explored properly, and I would have loved to see it, but I think, like, in a way, Mary sees herself as a burden, because I think she feels that without her and Edwina, Kate would be allowed to live her life very differently. Whereas now she's kind of, and I don't think she realizes how far Kate feels the burden, like, extends, but I think she feels that Kate wouldn't have to do any of these things. She wouldn't have had to come to England in the first place and, like, manage all of these things, because I think a lot of that management probably came from Kate. I do not see Mary eagerly planning a trip back to England, but I think, like, she genuinely kind of thinks, like, well, if I'm not there, Kate can do whatever she wants, you know, which isn't necessarily true, but I think, like, she sees when Kate's like, well, I want to go back to India and I want to be a governess, like, that's what I want. I think that that's interesting. I haven't thought about that before. I'll get to that in a second. I think that Mary is kind of feeling that Kate's creating independence for herself, and she wants to give her that as much as possible, you know. I think, yeah. I don't think that, like, I think as well, like, Mary doesn't realise, one, how checked out she's been, which is a difficult thing to, like, come to terms with when I think, you know, she's, let's be honest, in the midst of a depressive episode. It's difficult to, like, sometimes recognise that in yourself when your mental health is really suffering and be like, wow, I have been, like, I've let a lot of things slide. And I think, like, truly that's what happens at the wedding for Mary, more so than anything else. I think, God, what was I saying? I think, and for all of these reasons, I think the people that Mary would take under her wing most are, and there's a high percentage of them, but the orphaned children that marry into the Bridgerton family, because I think, like, she, one, would be particularly appalled by the way Sophie's being treated. Like, Sophie grows up essentially, like, everyone says, if you haven't read the books, so Sophie is an Earl's illegitimate child, and he takes responsibility for her after her parents die, but he doesn't own her as his child. He says that she's his ward, but it's very obvious because they look very alike that, like, she's his child. So she, then her stepmother basically, like, takes this out on her quite a bit. It's implied basically because, like, she doesn't, like, she didn't produce an heir following that, and there's, I think, a lot of deeper things going on, but I think Mary would be very appalled by that. And I think she would definitely take Sophie under her wing. I think as well Lucy, like, the way Lucy's uncle treated her was very poor, and I think, like, Mary would just be like, children, come to me. Yeah. I don't know how, and I've always been really interested in this, we don't get a lot of information in the book. I would love to see, like, a little cameo of Mary, and I want to see Edwina, but I also feel like it would create a lot of, like, I feel like there's a lot of unfortunate animosity because of the way season 2 went down with Edwina. I feel like it's a very, like, loaded subject, and it shouldn't be, but it is, much to my annoyance. But I would like to see them more just, and not, like, to have a big plot, but, like, to sit in the background a little bit and just see that relationship has, like, evolved. Someone made a good point. I didn't see the name, sorry. But, like, how do I feel about the fact that Sheffields had stipulated the fact that Kate had to go back to India? I don't think that was in it, because I think Lady Danbury would have mentioned that in her, like, gotcha moment. I don't think that's in it, purely because I think Lady Bridget, maybe, she doesn't seem to care. Lady Danbury would have, like, mentioned that in her little, like, gotcha. But it's an interesting thought. I always assumed, and I'm very interested, I would have liked to see, like, a little bit more information on how that conversation, like, even started. Obviously Kate reached out to them first, but how, well, we know how, but, like, when and where? Not when and where, but, like, when? When did she reach out to them? Is this, like, I happen to think, because Kate mentions that she's spent, you know, nearly 10 years preparing Edwina for that. At that point, like, Kate would have been around 18. She would have been of marriageable age. So I wonder if she had reached out on her behalf to be like, okay, well, I'll marry someone. And, like, Kate seems to think, I've said before, like, Kate is very sure that they don't view her as a relative. So I think, like, there's definitely been some discourse on that we aren't privy to, and I hope that that's unpacked a little bit, because I think one of the things, particularly if we are going to get a pregnancy storyline this season, I think one of the things, and Jonathan Bailey said this as well, like, they're having a lot of conversations around family and, like, legacy and what that really means. And it would be interesting to, like, learn a little bit more about Kate's relationship to that. I don't think the Sheffields are going to be welcomed back into the fold, as it were. I don't think they would even want to. Do I think they've tried? Maybe. There was a question I just missed. I'm sorry. Come back. Okay. Any interest in, not a full-on story, but showcasing the Sharma family dynamics, like it fixes scenes out of like me writing it. I would. I've been saying for a little while I really want to write a like a Mary and Dilf Daddy Sharma story. I really want to write that, but I don't think there's really an audience for it, so it might just be for me. I would like to write it. I don't want to deal with some of the things that might arise from that. I would be interested in writing it. I don't want to, yeah. There's a lot of discourse that happens when you post things like that, in my experience, that I'm not really interested in dealing with at this point. Yeah. Maybe. I maybe would. I need that shirt. I think it's a nice shirt. It's got Anthony's little number on the sleeve. This is designed, it's like honeycomb, but it's like a wheel. Very exciting. I said earlier I'll chat to the person who, Sarah, who made the logo for me. You guys may know her as Grey Hello 22. She does a lot of edits. She's excellent. She's excellent. Shout out to her if she's watching. There's actually only 2 of these shirts exist. I have one, and one is sitting somewhere in a postal facility in the system on its way to her. Thank you. I love it. This is the first time I've worn it, actually, after I made it. I'm very proud of it. Cricut. I did say I might put up the Cricut file somewhere if anyone has a Cricut or wants to make one. There was a bit of interest when I mentioned it about possibly selling these shirts. I don't really think that's a good idea. Number one, it's a very grey area making money off fan fiction. But also, honestly, the quality of my work my craftsmanship is low. And if people are paying for it, I think it needs to be a bit higher than it is. So that won't be happening. But I might put up the Cricut files if anyone's interested. If you have a Cricut or know someone that has a Cricut, you can usually get a lot of things printed. Thank you. About writing those stories, I am interested in it. It's something that I really love, that dynamic. I think you guys know it appears in everything that I write. I will answer that question in a second. So I am interested in writing that. I think this is a very interesting dynamic to me. You guys know it's maybe one my favorite family dynamic in the series. It's maybe my favorite. You have a Cricut, excellent. I take another chapter of BFR instead though. There's one coming when I write it. Maybe this week. I won't leave it until the season starts again to write it, I promise. I would like to write more of that. I don't really like writing in canon though. I have done a couple of things like that. Not that I don't like it, I just find it more interesting to write my own universes, I suppose. I also don't think I'm very good at writing in Regency, so I don't know. Maybe I will when I finally get things. What was that question I missed before? Non-Bridgerton question, but is the abdication of the Queen of Denmark big news in Australia, knowing that an Australian will be the next Queen of Denmark? Just curious. We are very interested about it, so if you don't know, the Crown Prince of Denmark, I don't think he was the Crown Prince at that point when they met. I don't know. He met someone when he was someone. Her name's Mary. He met Mary. He met Mary when he was in town for the Olympics, I think, in 2000, and they ended up getting married. She's Australia's first princess. We're very excited. Mary of Denmark. We're very excited about it. She's going to be the queen. Yeah, big news. It's everywhere. It's actually a little bit hilarious because in some ways there is more coverage of this than there was when King Charles got like for his coronation. Like, I say a lot that Australia, like, we're obviously a monarchy, but in a very low-key way. Like, they're on the money, but like not a lot else. We don't really, yeah, like nothing was really, we had a public holiday for the Queen's funeral, but like nothing was like closed or anything the way it was in the UK. Yeah, it's a very different dynamic, but yes, they're kind of like, yeah, I don't know how to describe them. But we're very excited about Mary being the Queen of Denmark. Super exciting. Yeah, they holiday in Australia like quite a bit. Her family's from Tasmania, which, like, if you're Australian, you know all the jokes about Tasmania. It's like a bit of new blood for them. There's not a lot of people there, so the joke is that they're all married to cousins, you know. So they're from Tasmania. They like holiday in Australia quite a bit. We're very proud of them. We're very proud of her. We're very proud of all Australians. Every Australian that has moved overseas, we're like, look at them succeeding. Even when they have like one line in a movie, we're like, behold, you know. Yeah, it's very important to us. When like a Margot Robbie movie comes out, it's big news. Do you see yourself writing more married, established Kate and Anthony stories? Like, okay. Like that start with them together. Worrying seeing married Kate and Anthony on screen this year made for anything. Not just Australians, also the Kiwis that you got. I mean, like the Pavlova and Russell Crowe. You can have Russell Crowe, by the way. We don't actually want him. So, the Pavlova, though, that's a huge can of worms, and I feel like we maybe shouldn't open it on screen. I'm very fond of a pineapple lump, though, so, like, my thanks. Also Ellen P, the drink. Russell Crowe is all yours. See, this is the problem with Russell Crowe. None of us want him. Like, when he was in Gladiator, we were like fighting over him. And now that he's like throwing phones at people, we're a little bit like, okay. Yeah, he's a Kiwi, you know, like, well, he's a Kiwi. Anyway, and Nicole Kidman is actually not even born in Australia. She was born in Hawaii. She grew up in Australia. But like, she's actually, like, if you're going off, you can keep Russell, we'll claim Pavlova. Okay. Like, I don't even like Pavlova, actually, or Lamingtons. Like, how sad is that? Anyway, any interest in writing stories like married Kate and Anthony? I guess I would have to. There'd have to be like some sort of plot there, though, and I think it's really hard for me to invent plots. Mostly. There'd have to be something there, I guess. I guess if I was gonna do that, it would probably be more like one-shots. We'll see after the after season 3 comes out if I'm inspired by anything. I do have a couple of ones of them as a married couple on AO3. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe after season 3 comes out, I'll get like more of a vibe of what their married dynamic is like, and then maybe. But I don't know about writing, like, it probably wouldn't be like an AU, it would be like like a canon, not canon divergence, even just like post-canon, I guess is what I'm saying, if I was to do that. Which again, Greggy, you gonna say Happy New Year to everyone? Or no? Come here, buddy. Come here. Come on. Oh, come on. Oh. Here he is. He wants to go down, but that's fine. Oh, buddy boy. Say hi to everyone. No? Okay. He's not really feeling very social today. But he's a sweet baby. He's getting some new bow ties delivered in the next week. We're very excited. One's Reptar from the Rugrats. I'm excited. When I say we're very excited, I'm very excited. He also got a little cap for Christmas from my sister, literally looking anywhere else. Yes, even when I try to move to position him, he's like, no. Oh, Greggy boy. Yeah, he's getting some new bow ties this week. We're very excited about it. Greg, aren't we? No. He's really just looking for lunch. Sad, actually. But, yeah, anyway, I don't think we have any more questions, unless there's anything, and this has gone on for a very long time, unless there's anything anyone wants to add. But I'm excited to see an update of where season 3 is gone, I guess, because it seems like it was filmed a very long time ago now, and I, for a little bit, was like, did they lose all the footage or something, and they're gonna have to reshoot it? I don't know, but anyway, very exciting. I'm excited for it to be released. I'm not excited for a 2-part release, I guess. Okay, well, you've spotted the cracker I offered you 81 minutes ago, and now you want it. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, so yeah, I guess Happy New Year. Some of you probably haven't reached New Year, I guess, yet, but Happy New Year, and yeah, I will hopefully do chapter 3 of The Viscount Who Loved Me next weekend when I have time. If I don't, like, you know, get COVID again or go through a natural disaster, we'll see. Anyway, thanks for getting ready with us. Thank you for all of your questions, and we'll see you next time. Bye.